I have copies of the actual Ford Pass Reward where she created the bogus account. She already deleted it.
Okay. What's the total theft? Do you identify?
Total theft is what I came up with was $7,143.75.
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
$7,143. Once I got her to admit that where the money was, and she said, I don't. She said, well, I just needed money.
He didn't pick a lock. She didn't forge a check. She showed up on time, smiled at every customer, and processed every transaction exactly the way she was trained to almost. For 97 days, no one noticed. No alarm went off. No register came up short, because on paper, everything balanced. The question is, how do you steal $7,000 from a company that can see every penny you touch and make the books tell the story you want them to tell? She figured it out. And for a while, it worked. This footage documents a felony employee embezzlement investigation. The legal issues span state grand theft statutes, federal computer fraud law under Title 18 of the United States Code, and wire fraud exposure, each triggered by exploitation of a corporate loyalty rewards platform.
I have copies of the actual Ford Pass Reward where she created the bogus account. She already deleted it.
So explain what you mean she already deleted it.
So the customers can sign up for the program for what's called Ford Pass Rewards. She created a bogus account.
Now, when you say customer, so did she ever? We're going to get this in the statement. We're on the record now. But did she create these accounts all of them herself, or they were already existing?
This one she created.
Okay. For herself?
Using her last name as her maiden name.
Okay.
That's why we never recognized it.
Gotcha.
And her second name, which she never uses.
Will you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear that what you're about to tell me in this recorded statement will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. All right, so in your own words, what led you to file a police report alleging that a former employee had embezzled money from the company?
So what triggered it was a parts customer came to return a part, normal transaction. And in the course of that, we always have to find out how the original payment was made. In this case, we found out that the customer had the transaction had been registered as a redeeming Ford Pass points, which is a reward system that Ford has. But in the ledger, the customer's receipt was stamped cash, so they paid cash. But on our books, it got registered as points rewards. That led us to start investigating, and we find out that the lady was taking the cash, pocketing the cash, and
Now,
then...
for the record, let me stop you there. What lady are you referring to?
Oh, Sharon Quassigro.
How do you spell her last name?
Kwascigroh.
And you're referring to
First
the
name
license?
is Sharon.
Sharon?
Yes.
Let me see that, please. So you're referring to the name from this right here, correct?
Yes.
Are these the identity documents that she gave when
hired.
to get hired? Perfect. Okay, go ahead. Continue, please.
So then that led us, before we even addressed her, we pulled the record of the Ford Pass account and come to find numerous transactions, both awarding points to that account and then redeeming. All the when I say redeeming means they cashed out. So all of those transactions were cash payments, mostly parts, but some were in service invoices that were redeemed, where the customer paid cash, but cash never made it into our register. The payment was registered as redemption from that bogus account.
All right, so if you were explaining this to a sixth grader, for example, so she worked here. What was her job title?
Cashier.
Cashier. Parts cashier, or just any cashier?
All around, service and parts.
So customer a real customer would come in, do a transaction, and pay cash for that transaction.
Correct.
Right? Were they utilizing their Ford's Pass account, or just a strictly
Just
simple
straight,
cashing?
I'm paying cash.
All right. She would then take that cash, stick it in her pocket. It would never make it in a register.
Correct.
And then she would ring up the transaction as if a customer used their points to pay for the item.
Correct.
Therefore, on your end, when you look at the paperwork, it all balances out.
Correct.
Cash
Our registers balance out. She would make a copy, because they have to make a copy of the Ford Pass transaction and put it along with that paperwork. So when it went through accounting, they said, okay, here's the payment. No,
So she did print the receipts in
She has
compliance with that transaction. Okay. Now, your investigation, what date range did it identify she did this from?
So it started, first transaction was October of 2024.
October what? Do you know the date?
October 31st was the first registered transaction on that account.
Okay. And the final?
And the final was February 5th of 2025.
Okay. What's a total theft? Do you identify?
Total theft is, what I came up with was $7,143.75.
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
$7,143.
Did you ever interview any customers who told you, I paid cash, or I did this, or I did that? Did you ever speak to any customers to verify?
The only one, and it's only because it happens to be a personal friend, where he didn't pay cash. He paid his transaction normal, but she used his payment. This is where she accumulated points. Since he didn't have a Ford Pass account, she registered herself. She would have to register herself as, put her email in his account so that she can redeem the points that he accumulated by paying, just normal paying.
Now, did she do this for the purposes of jiving with accounting? In other words, these points she was creating, did she use that to cover the cash transactions?
Correct.
Okay.
So this
Did she use the same email for multiple customers, for example? How were you able to tie multiple customers to the term?
The way the system works, she would have to, before she fully processes this transaction, so here he paid with a credit card. She took payment. Customer left. He left with his stamped paid. Then so our paperwork has to be technically closed in the computer system. So what she does is she has to go in, put her email on his account first.
Which he has the capability of doing as an employee?
Correct. Then she closes the paperwork. Now because Ford grabs the points passively. They just see the hour.
That's done through corporate.
You're right, the Ford system. So when she closes the work order, now Ford says, in this case, the customer spent $1,805. Those points, the equivalent of those points, get attached to that account. Then she goes in and removes the email after that.
All right.
So,
and how were you able to, if it was removed, how were you able to determine that email was used originally?
only because it shows up on the list of redeemed points.
Okay.
There's only one way to do that.
All right. So now, this stack of records here, just explain what it is and all.
So on here, you're going to see the customer, description of the points. These are the dates, invoice numbers. So anything starting with a 1 was a parts invoice. Anything with a 9 is a service invoice.
Okay.
Points redeemed means points that were cashed out.
To pay for those transactions.
To pay for cash transactions. And points earned could have been either a cash or credit card payment that was used to accumulate points.
Okay.
So anything that shows
So these
are handwritten.
amounts you're putting are the cash that she stuck in her pocket?
Yes.
All of those, right?
All of those
that
are
whole column
cash.
is the cash she stole.
All these that I hand wrote is actual cash that was redeemed. When you see these numbers that are typed in the printout, this is what was earned for this transaction here.
Okay.
Those are points that went into that account.
All right. For each individual transaction, would you be able to show that, for example, that one there, this customer's $13,000 was used for this customer's cash? Is there a way to do
No,
that?
because what it does is it goes into basically the pot.
Pool? Okay.
The pool.
All right, I see.
And then as she saw that there was enough money, she would cash out. So when she started back here, all she did was accumulate points from October, and then, all she was doing was accumulating points. And then the very first cash transaction that she took out, she went for the home run, was this one here in December. 96,000 points were redeemed for a service transaction for $2,575.92.
And these points she redeemed were accumulated from prior fraudulent.
From all these other pages. So it goes from here forward. So all of this was accumulated. And then right here, she had enough points to cash that out.
Embezzlement requires 3 elements: entrustment, conversion, and fraudulent intent. The subject was entrusted with both cash handling and point-of-sale system access, a position of explicit fiduciary duty. She willfully converted customer cash payments to personal use. The creation of a fraudulent account under a concealed identity demonstrates premeditation, not impulse, satisfying the intent element at the highest threshold. Established precedent holds that concealment through alternate identity is affirmative proof of criminal knowledge. The Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, 18 United States Code, Section 1030 prohibits exceeding authorized computer access. The Ninth Circuit in United States v. Nosal established that employee access used for personal gain outside the scope of employment exceeds granted authorization. Access to modify customer account data was authorized for transaction processing only. Inserting a personal email address into customer accounts to redirect loyalty points, then removing it, falls squarely within the Nosal standard. Each fraudulent point-of-sale entry constitutes a potential count under 18 United States Code Section 1343 wire fraud. The Supreme Court in Nader v. United States confirmed that wire fraud requires a materially false representation. Each transaction record falsely characterizing a cash payment as a loyalty redemption was material, it deceived both the accounting department and any auditor reviewing the company ledger. The pre-confrontation deletion of the fraudulent account creates additional criminal exposure. Most jurisdictions criminalize destruction of records when a legal proceeding is reasonably foreseeable. At the moment of deletion, the subject was aware her employer suspected fraud. This act is legally aggravating. The sworn statement was properly administered oath before testimony, creating perjury liability for any false representation on the record. However, the investigation carries a prosecutorial vulnerability. Corroboration relied almost entirely on employer-generated records. Independent customer interviews were not conducted by law enforcement prior to the warrant.
To back up just a little bit, when I confronted her about the name on the account and the email, I said, so when I hand this over to detectives and the sheriff's office and they backtrack this, it's not going to come up with your name. That's when she kind of changed and admitted. So she admitted in front of all of us that yes, she was doing it.
Can you tell me her exact words that you can recall?
I'm trying to remember. She said, well, once I got her to admit that where the money was, and she said, she said, well, I just needed money. And then we found out later that there's some family problem. I didn't really get into that, but that doesn't excuse it. Anyway.
Anything else?
That's about all I can recall right now.
Did she tell you there was family problems?
No, I found out
Just through
through
rumors?
through the rumors.
Okay, so just to make sure, she never said, I used the money to drugs,
No.
gambling, or whatever else.
No, she was very, very elusive in that.
Alright.
Sense. She just said the money was gone.
Okay, so what happened after that?
Then at that point, I asked her to, immediately terminated her and asked her to leave the premises.
She was terminated on the spot. Detectives moved quickly and a warrant followed. When officers reached out, she refused to talk. No statement, no explanation. With the paper trail closing in, she arranged a surrender and met investigators outside the station, keeping the conversation off the record and off the lobby floor.
Hey, Sharon. Thanks for showing up. Do you have anything else on you? Just your phone? Your phone and your keys?
No, I was able to lock my keys.
Okay. With like an app on your phone?
With a button here.
Okay.
Keypad.
All right. Just got to detain you in handcuffs for now. Okay.
You want to take the sweater off now, or?
No, we could take it in the jail. That way we can just go on your property. And just put your arm back. Is that too tight? You want an extra cuff?
Thanks for being so cooperative. It's a lot easier this way.
Just lock this so that way you don't get pinched.
So you don't have nothing in your pockets at all?
It's my phone in my back pocket.
Oh, it's in your back pocket? Where are your keys at?
She says she locked it with a card. Okay. Can you fit through there or do you want to walk around? Just go ahead and have a seat right there. And we're going to...
Defense counsel will challenge whether the Ford Pass audit trail alone satisfies the beyond a reasonable doubt standard absent direct customer testimony. The subject was convicted on felony grand theft and ordered to pay full restitution of $7,143.75. She received 3 years of probation. No custodial sentence was imposed. The investigating detective receives a grade of A-. Methodical questioning, proper oath administration, and professional arrest conduct reflect strong investigative competence. The grade is reduced for over-reliance on leading questions and absence of independent customer corroboration. Sharon Quassigro receives a grade of F. A two-phase scheme under a concealed identity, followed by evidence deletion, demonstrates sophisticated criminal planning. Voluntary surrender and cooperative arrest processing are noted as mitigating factors insufficient to alter the evaluation. The dealership receives a grade of C+. Post-discovery response was decisive. However, granting simultaneous cash handling and account modification access to a single cashier without dual control requirements is a fundamental internal controls failure that enabled 97 days of undetected theft. 3 lessons emerge from this case. First, separation of duties is non-negotiable. No employee should hold simultaneous access to cash receipts and the system that records those receipts. Second, loyalty program platforms carry real monetary value and require the same audit discipline as a cash register. Third, the sophistication of a fraud scheme is directly proportional to the level of unsupervised access granted. Oversight gaps are open invitations. Let us know if there is an interaction or legal topic that you would like us to discuss in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more content on police court interactions.